doing the work, writing the offers, tracking good activity, it's going to pay off in spades, right? For the last couple of years, it was tough. If you were a new investor, things moved too quickly. You were probably beaten out by guys like you and I who had all these other access to other things. But in a market where every day more and more people are pulling back, again, motivated sellers always exist. They're just easier, and they will be easier to find for the next 6 months because everybody's just checked out. They're like, I'm out. So you're going to wait until after the election. I have heard that no less than a dozen times in the last 48 hours. So I want to talk to Coach Carson. Does this make sense? People waiting until after the election to get started with investing. Coach, what say you?
Well, I've heard the same thing several times in the last 48 hours. I think you and I both have talked with people about it. We don't have to get into politics on either side to discuss this topic, but the idea of waiting till afterwards, like, yes, are things going to change? Depending on one person elected or not, I'm sure there'll be some changes. But what you and I are both seeing on the ground, like the reality on the ground, is that there are opportunities now, like July, August 2024 until November. Like, I think there's going to be a bunch of buying opportunities. I'm seeing people just in the last 4 weeks, people I'm working with are buying properties. And so I think it'd be ludicrous, it'd be crazy to wait, because if you're a long-term investor, if you're one rental at a time investor, if you're a small and mighty investor, we're thinking, hey, we want to buy properties over the next 5 to 10 years, 20 years that are going to build us a lot of wealth. Why would you wait to get in until then? As if, things are going to get better, or maybe things are going to get worse, but it's a short-term mentality instead of thinking 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the road.
Yeah. One of the things I love about talking with real estate investors and still going to speak at events like you do is I get a sense for what the audience is doing. And at some level, the audience is not necessarily my competition, but they are kind of they give me a feel for the market. And for a long time, it's been real estate's easy, you can't do it wrong, and people are overpaying and all of that. It was a tough market. It was a tough market to be a disciplined investor. And to your point, I am seeing more and more people now going, I'm out. I'm out. And I've been in this movie before. So what's going to happen is listings are going to start stacking up. Inventory is going to grow. Some of that inventory will just simply be expired listings because they want to sell, not need to sell. But there's going to be a lot of people that need to sell. And as I have learned, as you and I have preached, you make your money when you buy. And if you can find motivated sellers, you can get a great price and perhaps great terms. I think the big thing over the next 6 months for our communities is more of our followers will do term-based deals, seller financing, because some people have to sell and terms might be the right answer. What do you think?
I agree. I think there's motivated sellers is the key word you said. And I just want to double down on the fact that when you listen to national news, like political movements, presidential elections, even the economy, which is important to pay attention to, it sort of distracts, I think, the small mighty investor from the fact that you just need one deal, like just one. You just need one property. You need one seller who is kind of just done with this property, and they're just like, hey, I just want to sell this property. And there are a bunch, I mean, out of the hundreds of millions of people in this country, and however many people own properties, you just have to find one person. And I think that kind of that simplifies this game, instead of worrying about elections and worrying about this thing going up and this interest rate going up. Like, that is going to affect you in some ways, but you know how I think about it. I'm more like the linebacker in a football game. Like, I am zoned in on that running back with the ball, which is that one property I'm going to buy. And I'm watching the obstacles. You got to watch the economy. You got to watch interest rates. Keep your head on a swivel, but just attack your goal. Like, just go after it. And if you just worry about making offers, like this week, I'm going to look at 100 listings. This week, I'm going to send 100 letters out. This week, I'm going to drive for dollars for 4 hours. Like, those are the things that I pay attention to, that I encourage people to pay attention to. And then just find one seller who will sell you a property at a price that makes sense, even if it's a lower price than what they originally thought. There are people who will make a deal, but you won't believe it until you do it.
No, this is good. This is all going to be a numbers game, right? Doing the work, writing the offers, tracking good activity. it's going to pay off in spades, right? For the last couple of years, it was tough. If you were a new investor, things moved too quickly. You were probably beaten out by guys like you and I who had all these other access to other things. But in a market where every day more and more people are pulling back, again, motivated sellers always exist. They're just easier, and they will be easier to find for the next 6 months because everybody's just checked out. They're like, I'm out. I'm out. Out. Nope, not coming back till January. So
So
I love that. I love less competition.
and some of these motivated sellers might be the other people who are like, I'm getting out of the market because of the election. Like
Yeah, it could be.
it's
Yeah.
it's the same people who are like, oh, I better sell before the market crashes or something. You know, a doomsdayer who said, oh, I got to sell because there's always in every market there's a buyer and there's a seller. And
Mm-hmm.
I think the key message I'm trying to convey here is like if you can keep a calm, long-term, focused strategy and not let your emotions and your decision making go up and down like the daily ups and downs of the news market, then you can have the patience to say yes, I will buy at this price under these terms, and that's the way it's always worked. That's the way Warren Buffett buys billions of dollar businesses. That's the way you bought properties for 20 years. That's the way I bought properties for 20 years. But it's a little different mentality, and the game is maintaining that calm and that discipline in the midst of all of this craziness. That's the game.
Yeah. And there's so much comfort and confidence in just doing the work over and over. You write the
Yeah.
next offer. You understand the numbers. You understand the counters. Um, Again, I'm telling everybody, don't pay list price. Ask for 2% closing costs. Do your inspections. Get credits. To your point, you only need one. You just need one. So go make it the best deal that you can. And, buyers markets or a market where demand is artificially pulled back for a while, it's a great market because just track days on market. You get up to 45, 60 days on market. That seller probably hasn't had an offer in weeks. Take a shot. But, only to your point, do the deals that make sense for you, right? Don't overpay.
Yeah, I had a conversation with a friend of mine. He's an investor. He's also a real estate agent here in the Clemson, South Carolina area. We just always talk about the market. He made a comment that kind of backs up what you're saying here about days on market. And he was like, hey, I just listed a property over such and such street. He knew I would know the street. I used to have a rental over there. It's like I used to get offers like right away on a property under $200,000. It was just around $200,000 in Clemson, which is $300,000 median price. That's a really good
It's a
price in
cheap
my
home.
area.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, I got zero crickets, not even one showing on this house. And he wanted me to look at it. It's like, is there anything wrong with my listing? What's going on?
Yeah.
Just kind of help each other out. I was like, no, I mean, I think, the street is a little bit more of a rental street. There's more
Right.
rentals than owners, but looks okay. And the point is like, here's this agent who is aware that he's getting no offers. If you were the investor, it was listed at like 225. If you made an offer, let's say 175 was your number, the property rents for maybe $1,500. Let's say that was your number. He would be receptive to it. I'm not saying you get the deal. He would
No.
be receptive to your offer, taking it to your seller, say, hey, we might not get this number that we
Yeah.
thought we were going to get. And so
Yeah.
you just
How
got to,
bad do you want to sell?
yeah,
That's the
exactly.
conversations that are going to happen. Now, some sellers will get that offer and they'll say, you know what? Cancel the listing because I'll wait to the spring. And that's an okay reaction,
Sure.
right? You want the listing to expire? No problem. But some people, life events, they want out before the election. They're like, well, if that's the only offer we got, I'll take it. Or let's counter. Let's not 175. Let's try 199. See what they do.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
But that's what's coming. I'm telling you, it is going to be slow. It is going to be, and it's going to get worse. It's going to like feed on itself. But again, as somebody who loves buyers markets, I will get more and more excited. I will get more and more creative. I'll write more and more disrespectful offers. If I'm the only buyer in town, believe me, I'm going to get a good number.
Yeah. Disrespectful offers. I love that. It reminds me, I think I had a mentor who said early on, if you're not a little embarrassed or a lot embarrassed by your offer, it's too high.
Too high. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, here's a crazy, I mean, I mean this. I I don't want the seller to take my first offer. That's how disrespectful it's supposed to be. If they say yes, I didn't offer low enough, right? I'm trying to anchor. I'm trying to, because the whole game for me is I need one, but I've been doing it so long. I know it's a process, right? I've got to yank the seller down to close to my number, and I expect them to say no the first time. The second time, maybe I'll get a counter. The third time, maybe we'll be somewhere. So I just have this tracking spreadsheet, and I just keep writing offers and pulling people lower. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's just a process. It's a numbers game, and to me, it's fun. It's
Yeah,
fun.
it is fun. Yeah, and I enjoy the other type of negotiation where you go directly to the seller, and it's you also anchor, but you might say, hey, an investor is going to pay you, but Michael, my friend Michael is probably going to pay you this, and I'll pay you a little bit more than that. But hey, let's talk about what are you trying to do with the money? Like, are you trying to take
Right.
this money and buy another property? And let's say they're just a landlord who's just like, I'm done with this property. All this eviction talk of eviction bans, I don't want to even mess with that. And so you could take it off their hands, but still give them an income stream by them
Yes.
participating in the financing. And that's a whole other negotiation. Like that is slow play. Like they need to get to know you, they
Exactly.
need to trust you. But it's the similar concept is that they want the property less than you do. And so
Mm-hmm.
they're willing to they might not know it at first, but like you as
Yep.
a person who presents yourself as a credible buyer, somebody who will do what you say you're going to do, you can ask for things that they might not have anticipated they would want up front. But once
Mm-hmm.
you present it in a way that still solves their problem, which is not having to manage this property anymore, not having to deal with tenants, and then they get a number that works for them and they can move on with their life. Like I bought a lot of properties with
Yeah.
financing like that worked great for me as a long-term rental.
Yeah. One of the things that I think is going to happen over the next 6 months is one of the lenders I speak with, Velocity Mortgage, and Stephen Dow, Velocity Mortgage. It's something called a 90% CLTV, combined loan to value loan. And what I see coming out of this environment is, yeah, it'd be great to have a seller do the entire first, but I think a lot of sellers want more cash than that. So the 90% CLTV loan, or 50-40-10, is 50% mortgage with Velocity, 40% owner carry as a second, and 10% down as an investor. So basically, the seller gets 60% of the cash the day it closes, and then they carry back a note at 40%.
Mm-hmm.
And what you can do with that is you can buy anything from homes to apartment buildings this way, which I'm hoping to do, buy some apartment buildings this way. You can get a blended interest rate. Let's say Velocity is 9.5, get the seller at 2. Now your blended interest rate's probably in, the high fives, high or low sixes. And you're getting into this deal with 10%. It's a great leverage and a safe loan. So I think this 90% CLTV is a product I'm just going to just leverage left, right, and center.
Yeah, I like that. I like that term, those terms a lot. It reminds me, it kind of goes full circle. I had a mentor who in the 80s did very similar deals to that with a local bank where he would buy properties from the seller. The seller would get, 60% of the money and then they would carry back a second and 30%. So it's
Mm-hmm.
it's it's amazing that the financing market always
Yep.
adapts to the reality, and the reality on the ground. Like people talk about there's equity being stuck in properties. Like people don't want to sell because their equity's stuck. But they can. This is an example where if they had so much equity that they could take 60% in cash and pay off their mortgage, yes, they don't get exactly what they wanted, but they can preserve that equity
Oh
and
yeah.
live to see another day. And somebody who's motivated to go just sell their house and move on to another place, they're not looking for like 7%, 8% interest as the only most important thing. They're looking to sell the house first and foremost, get their
Yeah.
price. And then, so I think that deal you're talking about would work with a lot
Yeah.
of people. I can see that.
Yeah. 50-40-10. Because again, you could overpay a little bit. You're going to get a blended interest rate that's good for you. You're coming in very high leverage or low down. It's like, dude, that 90% CLTV is going to be a gold mine for folks. At the end of the day, waiting till after the election, it is going to happen. I think the average person is going to say or feel that. What I would ask you to do is don't be average. Do the work, know your numbers, only write great deals. And if it works for you, close the deal. Waiting till the after the election is a fool's errand, in my opinion.
Agreed. Let's go. Let's go buy some properties. Let's do this.
There you go.
Let's make progress while everybody else is sitting and watching the news. Let's go. Let's go do this.
Let's go do some real work. Gosh darn it.
Yes.
Where can people find you, Coach?
All right. I'm every Monday I have a new episode on Coach Carson on my podcast. You can find it on YouTube. You can find it on your podcast players, or you can go to my website, coachcarson.com, and check me out there as well.
Don't forget to go to Amazon. Write a review for this man. He needs some reviews. Small and mighty investor. Take some selfies. Tag him on Instagram. He comes through for us every week. So let's show him some love. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks for having me.